Hey guys, welcome to the 2018 Cycle 1 podcast. I'm here with Seth, Matt, myself, and Drew. We're looking forward to getting a new training season started, and we are really looking forward to explaining everything. But first, we've got a couple housekeeping issues.
Hang on.
I'm just so year number.
I'm so impressed with his intro.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard him
introduce
something that well?
I've been practicing.
He's been practicing.
Gabe Leno.
You didn't sleep last night, did you?
Nope.
You're just running that
in
through
front
your
of the
head.
mirror.
You knew we were going to put you on the spot, and you
Truman showed it.
hit it on the head.
Shit.
All right, what we got going on?
Sharpentheaxeco.com is the place to be for all of the stuff I'm about to talk about. So we have new shorts, 3 different colors. Sure, what's the inseam? The hot topic.
The inseam is 8 inches.
Inseam is
not so sure about inseam 8 inches.
Good answer. Thank you. So we have 3 colors. We have the new baseball tees. We have this bad boy right here, and then we have the blackout version Sherb's wearing right now. Holy crap. I didn't
imagine
imagine
that.
that.
Blackout version. It's wild.
So we got those going. We also have a bunch of new stuff coming, including this pretty sweet hat that I have on right now. We got some other colors coming in that as well. And you can also get your Misfit Athletics training camp tickets at sharpentheaxeco.com if you click on events. We will be back at CrossFit Clue October 20th through the 22nd. If you've been there before and you want to go again, but you want new curriculum, you're in luck. We're going to switch it up this time. We're going to make sure that you guys, regardless of how many camps you've been to, hear a bunch of new stuff. And then we will be in Louisville, Kentucky at CrossFit Derby City CrossFit. I'm not sure which one it is. 12-8.
Derby City CrossFit.
Derby City CrossFit, 12-8 to 12-10. And we've said this before. We've been asked to go to the Midwest way too many times and haven't granted that wish. We have now. We're not sure when we're going to be back. So get your tickets, sharpentheaxeco.com. What's going on at misfitathletics.com, Seth?
I don't know. I think there's like Cycle 1 or something, guys.
Yeah.
Wow. So the games have wrapped up, just like every year. We've kicked off Cycle 1. We haven't started the training yet, but we have started the, we're calling it the 2018 Misfit Assessment Period. And it's 2 weeks. It's basically a prolonged test week of everything that we're going to kind of expect you to be able to do efficiently by the end of the year. So it's not just a test week to kick off Cycle 1, but it's kind of a 2 weeks of testing that will be a lot more broad and inclusive, and you could expect to see components of this in each level of competition as you go. So it's kind of a big window of opportunity here to both find what you're really good at and what you're kind of near the top at, and what you absolutely suck ass at, and what you need to really spend time focusing your training on this year. So that's what's going on this second, and training kicks off. What's the date? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
21st.
I don't know what day this is going live. So.
Monday the 21st.
Yep.
The 21st. All right. So I will actually hand this off to Drew first to start talking about what to expect during Cycle 1 training. And we're going to start with the strength cycle, which he's masterfully written over the past few years.
So if you are familiar with the blog, if you've been following for one of the past 5 years, you know that we back squat a lot in Cycle 1. We are back to the 5s, the 4s, and the 3s every single week throughout the cycle. And what we are looking to do is set you guys up with a base. I think that's sort of going to be the theme of this podcast, like the other 4 Cycle 1 podcasts we've done. And really what I'm looking for from athletes is, if you are a slow twitch athlete, we need to speed those reps up, Sherby.
Huh?
And if you are a fast twitch athlete, stop relying on that bounce. Let's create some connective tissue so that you guys can stay healthy throughout the entire year. No one gives a shit about your 1 rep max in a movement that isn't even part of our sport. It might be someday. But it hasn't been yet, so I would rather see someone try to go through the full range of motion under control if they're, a fast twitch athlete. Travis Williams famously says, "I can hit this if I catch a bounce." We do not want that variable as part of our repertoire, in my opinion. So try to either ask your coach or your training partners, whoever, what you are as an athlete. And then
Before you go on that, I have seen a lot of videos of improved squats and doing exactly that, sitting back, not relying on the bounce. And I think a lot of it came from doing the box squats last cycle and just thinking about squatting differently and how you approach it. So carry those things over and let everything build upon that. Like you're saying, it'll go so far.
Absolutely. We have sort of the, what you would consider the bread and butter when it comes to the deadlift, singles, doubles, and triples. Seth, are we going with, your deadlifting in a library this cycle?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much going with that for the rest of time, unless you're in a Metcon or some kind of race of some kind. Basically, I mean, I think we've all noticed that the people who are obsessed with the numbers and are bouncing constantly are not actually getting that much stronger. They're just kind of learning how to manipulate a barbell better, where I'd rather someone take a lot of time on the descent of the lift and actually get really strong with some time and attention, because we don't deadlift that much.
So on that single, we want to set it down.
Oh, ideally, yes. Ideally.
Because typically in a 5x1, you're going to be climbing. You're not going to do all 5 at one weight. And one of the best ways to warm up, fire up your posterior chain is to put that lowering phase in there.
If you were competing in the deadlift, you would have to set it down.
Right.
So
true.
I don't know. All the setting it down stuff works too. I mean, we've found the affiliate level, but those athletes that are able to...
You mean doubling the range of motion makes you stronger? I mean...
That's important too, but I think most of those people understand now that, like, hey, I'm only lifting 5 reps a week, or 5 reps this week, or I'm only lifting 9 reps this week. Like, that's not a lot of deadlift reps.
Right.
So if I want to get the most I can, you need to really slow it down and do it correctly, both through the pull and then control back at the floor.
So what I love about this is we go triple, double, single, and what that allows you to do is to realize for 2 reps each set on the triples and then 1 rep each set on the doubles, what it takes for a strong deadlift to get it off the floor. And then you need to be able to watch your videos and take that into how you pull 5x1 off the floor. Those positions that you're in, how tight you're in, do you take the bend out of the bar, whatever. Can you set yourself up to succeed by watching how much better your touch and go reps are than that first rep? And if you can figure out what that setup position is and where you need tension, your max is going to go up considerably. So whether it's going for a max or whether it's lifting with more speed or better form at 90%, you're going to get stronger because of that. So
it's a really
that's
good
something
point.
You really want to pay attention to.
One thing that I think a lot of CrossFitters are missing out on is that initial setup for the first rep. You see people pull a triple almost as easy as they pull a single because of that loading phase on the second and third rep. They can actually set themselves up in a really good positions, whereas you see people who think they're pulling a 1 rep, they just pull with everything they have and the knees buckle right in, the spine rounds, but they make the lift and they celebrate. That's not doing anything for your training. It's not helping you.
We talk about all the time that we care more about how you move than the actual weight in the bar, because training's part of that is learning how to move better. I mean, that's what we're focusing on here. And if you're just pulling it to have a 600-pound deadlift, but you herniated a disc 6 months down the road, was it worth it?
Even if you don't and it looks like shit, what good is it in competition unless they're testing a 1 rep max deadlift, which they did once at the games twice 2 years ago, and then once when they did the before the original test of it. What good
and the
is
guys that did well were
years.
not jerking the bar off the ground.
No.
So, and then from another point of view, we went to super training and watched Mark Bell and his crew deadlift, and it was pretty eye-opening how much care they put into setting up for 135, 225, 315. These are guys that deadlift over 600 pounds, 700 pounds, 800 pounds, really crazy deadlifts, and they will do almost like a triple setup at 135, where if they feel like they didn't take the bend out of the bar and pull themselves down into tension well enough, they do it again, and then they do it again, and until they feel like the bar is just sort of coming off the floor that first half inch on its own, they're not lifting it, and that is at any weight. So that's a huge thing. Obviously, CrossFitters were, rep, whereas in this cycle, it's so important, back squat, press, deadlift, all of these things to slow it down and make sure that you're actually doing it right.
Just like that ritual Olympic lifters have before they lift a heavy clean and jerk or a snatch. You should have the same thing when you approach a strength piece. You all have your strategies for metcons or for bitch work or any of those things, but you should have the same strategy going into a lift. Are you going through your mental checklist? Am I doing this, and that to make sure I'm ready to do this lift properly and get the most I can?
And if you go through that mental checklist and you do set up consistently and you have that down, that allows you to apply speed to the bar and light weights much earlier on. Mm-hmm. And if you warm up like that as you're building to the heavier sets, it fires everything on. It turns everything on, your CNS, your posterior chain. It gets you ready to lift heavy. Whereas if you don't really respect the lighter weights and lift them quickly and with authority, your warm-up won't be anywhere near as good as it is.
It's worth it.
You need to be fast to turn everything on to be able to lift heavy weights.
So last but not least, if we take that concept of we need that connective tissue there to keep us healthy for the rest of the season, and where do we see most CrossFit injuries, shoulder, chest,
for sure.
Upper back, in that area, right?
Yeah.
We see a lot of injuries there, or at least a lot of nagging injuries or overuse or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that concept and we're going to put it into range of motion with dumbbell bench press, barbell strict press, barbell bench press, and we're going to go through all of these positions, and we're going to ask you guys again to do this under control with the concept that I would rather have stability in my shoulder to move forward with the push press and the jerk and the whatever than brag about my 1 rep max. Because if we're all about, speed is king, but in our actual movements that we do in our sport
with control.
So yeah, let's really control it. And you see with the people that are really good at strict press, that connective tissue's there, and the way that you can see it is things don't move. Nothing moves. The barbell moves, and that's it. Your arms go up. We don't have the lean back. And maybe you are strong and you just need to learn to squeeze your glutes and, pull your rib cage down or whatever it is. But take the time with that stuff, and you'll be a lot happier with a healthy shoulder throughout the entire year than saying, oh man, I strict press 200 pounds because,
Yeah.
applies so much.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. It's a bunch of heavy ass reps, and we're asking them all to be done under control so that you guys are healthy for the rest of the season.
Yeah, moving right along, still with lifting, the Olympic lifting stuff will be 2 days a week, and it will be mandatory in the program. I got a lot of feedback last year and into this year specifically. I talked to a bunch of the, I guess I would say more higher level blog followers, the guys that are consistently getting to regionals, and asked them about all the power position work, the pause work, all the stuff we've been doing over the years. And while they like to do it and still want to continue to do it because they find it helpful to start building their season, one thing that we kind of didn't give them an opportunity to do is to lift heavy once in a while. So they always felt like they were going into cycle 2 like, I haven't snatched 225 in 2 months, or I haven't cleaned 315 in forever because you haven't let me. Well, now we're going to just kind of take the Olympic lifting, and it'll be 1 session, but it'll feel like 2. So to give you an example, the first week of Olympic lifting, when we start, we'll do the pause power position snatch, but it will be treated more like a warm-up. So all the care and focus you guys put into getting the bar in a power position, keeping that torso upright and moving, will be done with lower rep and pretty much low weight percentages so that you can actually practice the movement. And you'll be doing quite a few reps in that to get things kind of fired up and moving. And then from there, once you practice the power position pause snatch, we'll let you guys do some hang snatch work from above the knee. And that'll be the same for the clean and the snatch for the first 3 weeks. Once we get through 3 weeks, we're going to continue to move down the chain of teaching. So instead of being pausing at power position at the hip, we'll have you pause at the low hang above the knee to do your warm-ups and start moving through power position during your warm-up to make sure that that range of motion looks good. We're fixing any little errors you might have. And then the actual lift portion will be a lower hang snatch from the shin. So you'll actually have to either clean deadlift or snatch deadlift the weight correctly. So the setup will be emphasized there. You set up, you drop down to that shin in the second half of the cycle, and you'll snatch from there or you'll clean from there. So we'll give you guys the practice in all the positions we want you to hit every cycle, but we'll also give you a smaller opportunity to actually hit some heavy lifts and build as well through that. So I think we're going to get the best of both worlds there without giving you too much. You're going to be on a clock as you lift, so it'll kind of have to dictate the percentages for you a little bit. We'll give you a recommendation, but the clock will make it so that you're honest and that you're going to move weights that you can actually hit the reps with, because if you start going too heavy or trying to do too much, you won't be able to consistently hit your lifts. And one thing that I emphasize in here is no fails. So I'd rather see you play it safe with your lifting and hit a bunch of quality reps than try to go super, super heavy on any of it. So that's
the gold standard with this style of progressing with the sport is that you have a video of those positions that you're trying to get into from your warm-up, and that you can mirror them under load with skill. And I think that's where you should start to dictate that percentage. Obviously, the time component's going to be part of it.
Yep.
But you guys very easily in coach's eye, or with an actual coach's eye, can put them side by side and say, this is too heavy for me to get out of it what they're trying. We're trying to get positioning better, but we know that for everybody to keep up, we need the load to be higher. So we really need you guys to be strict about these positions, even now that we're adding, maybe an extra foot or two of dynamic movement in.
Yep.
I think the cool thing about this being right back to back is that I remember last year doing them in different cycles. There was no immediate feedback, so all the work that you were doing with the hang work, the pause work, sometimes you had to relearn how to do it from the ground. So really pay attention when you're hitting those positions and make those lifts the same when you do go from the ground. And you're going to know if it feels the same. If you hit the same low hang, if you hit the same power position, it should feel the exact same. So that immediate feedback is going to go a really long way for you guys if you pay attention to it and, like I said, film it and make sure it looks the same as well.
Biggest thing I would say, and this is from kind of experience of my own, because I struggle with both the power position pause and the low hang pause, is take your ego out of this equation. If you are so hell-bent on keeping up with your training partners that you do it wrong, you waste an entire cycle of Olympic lifting.
Right.
One of the biggest things we always preach at our camps is Olympic lifting is about moving around the barbell, right? And if you don't learn how to do that, you just heave the bar overhead and catch it kind of in a quarter squat and you jump a half foot forward, you miss the point. So don't be so concerned with what people around you are doing for weights. You're going to see on Instagram people put the bar on their hip and heave it overhead with 250. Good for them. That's not how you're going to get better at it. Watch the videos that we'll provide for you. We have some old videos on the pause stuff. We might shoot some new videos about it, but we want to really see you guys focus on doing it correctly rather than just how much weight you can get on the bar.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. The percentages will be listed, but they're more guidelines than actual percentages. If you're not moving well or you're not feeling strong that day, go under and treat it like a practice session, both parts of it. I can't emphasize the no fails enough. It's in there, bold, all caps, because I don't want people to, like Sherb said, bring their ego into it and making a lifting contest when they're supposed to be practicing something early in the season that will lead them to bigger PRs later on. So the percentages are there. They're a guideline. They're about where you should be, and some people move better than others. Some of the regionals athletes or even games athletes that we've worked with for years now, a lot of them can get into these positions pretty good, and it's a good reminder and it's a good refresher, and their percentages are going to be there. A lot of you guys that are learning these positions and that you're trying to make big fixes, don't expect to hit the weights that they're able to hit consistently. They've put in more time than you. Just because it's the beginning of the season for everybody doesn't mean that their experience from years past doesn't carry over. It does, and so does yours. So if your experience isn't super deep compared to them, you're going to be doing a lot more practice than heavy lifting. So just keep that in mind. Yeah.
Cool. Moving on to conditioning?
Yeah.
All right. So this time of year, we dial things back. We work on creating a base of strength, working on our gymnastics, working on our bitch work. You'll see that there isn't a lot of traditional CrossFit Metcons and intervals this time of year. In fact, we're only going to have one mandatory day per week of CrossFit. So it may be
What?
Yeah, can you believe that?
No.
1 day per week of actual mandatory CrossFit
Volume
Metcons.
is the king.
Always. So you'll notice that Monday will be that day. You'll have a mandatory Metcon, but Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday are going to be optional pieces for those of you that need the additional conditioning, and that day 5 will not have a Metcon or interval in it at all. So put your focus into building that base when you guys do get a chance to practice some of these movements, because you'll notice that, I'm only doing muscle-ups once a week, or, I can't remember the last time I did double unders. Those things are going to happen less sporadically this part of the year because we're focusing on building a base. That's our big focus this time. So
More sporadically.
What'd I say? Sporadically or
Less.
No, more. Sorry.
You're good.
Hey, either way. So focus on those things. When you get a chance to hit something that you haven't hit in a while, warm up for it, practice it, do it right, because you may not see it again for another week.
This is my plea to everybody. So there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this podcast. There's even more people that follow the program, okay? The conditioning is pretty simple. If you've followed for any amount of time, you understand that our workouts are straightforward and they allow you to bring the intensity that you can bring. They allow you to practice lots of different movements. What we do here with these conditioning pieces, because there are so few and far between this cycle, this is a perfect time that you would want to look at the workout descriptions. So if you're a member of the site, you're a subscriber, you're going to get more out of it this time of year than maybe later on. These descriptions will guide you in what my thought process is when I write these pieces, what I want you to focus on, the skills I want you to prioritize over others. Maybe I want you to care more about the rowing part of something than the pull-up part of something. Maybe I want you to push in a certain area and back down intentionally in other areas. We'll give you guidelines as to how to attack these things based on what you need, what your weakness is, where you're ahead, where you're behind, and then you have a strategy going into this conditioning. Because there is only, like you said, one a day for 4 days a week, and they're not always mandatory, you've got to make the most out of these conditioning pieces, and knowing how to attack them and what the purpose is behind that is so key. If you're just going through it kind of blindly and going through the motions, yeah, you'll probably get fitter, you'll get some experience with the movements, but you won't really understand how they play a role affecting each other in a competitive atmosphere. If you have experience, you'll maybe get the point, but still, there's a lot of room even for the experienced competitor to improve in certain areas that affect them, in open style workouts or even regional style workouts. The subscription will get you those descriptions, and they are really, really important, and I'll talk more about that a little later.
I really like that too, that you give them something to focus on, because so often we see, and again, ego comes back into the equation. People are so concerned with getting the best time, right. time, and I had the top time on the blog. Cool, but maybe you paced the rowing, or you decided to take a round of box jumps off or something. You did do something where you could have pushed your capacity. Or
maybe we want you to do that in a certain piece because I want you to hold on to a barbell.
Exactly.
It goes both ways.
Having an idea of a purpose behind the piece may guide you into getting fitter rather than just saying, "Hey, I got the best time on the blog." So,
yep,
just something to think about.
The best time's nice during testing, but really in training, if you're not getting better at the thing that's slowing you down even a little bit, it's kind of almost all for nothing.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, jumping into bitch work. So, even though we called it conditioning and said there's only one conditioning piece a week or a day, we completely lied because bitch work is mandatory all day, every day. So, 5 days a week of bitch work, running, rowing, biking, skiing, burpees, double unders, you get the idea. For the most part, we'll have kind of two ways to look at it. One will be building kind of your speed and power, so it'll be more sprint style bitch work, and we'll give you a decent amount of rest. Sometimes we'll let you choose the rest based on how you feel, making sure that you feel really recovered before you take on the next sprint. And the other side will be more endurance-based. So we may have you do something, just off the top of my head, like 400-meter run times 8, and we might only give you 30 to 60 seconds to recover. And the point of that is to keep your heart rate up and not give you that feeling of being able to sprint out the door, and finding a way to maintain your work over a long period of time. There may be days where you're just out there running 3 miles. There might be days where you're just rowing a 5K. There may be days where you're sprinting 50 meters by 15 with 3 minutes rest between. You're going to see both ends of the spectrum and not a ton in the middle, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's about it. I mean, other than that, it's pretty damn simple.
My rant usually falls here.
Give it to them.
You guys are gonna have to help me work through this because I get all riled up about it. But I don't believe deep down that bitch work is actually more important from a physiological standpoint than CrossFit. But it is sometimes a more important measure of where you're at, both mentally and physically. Would you guys agree with the opening statement?
No doubt.
Yes.
So my plea for everybody is, this stuff is just so important to do 5 days a week for the entire cycle. You can't even begin to understand what it will do for you mentally and physically to set you up for the rest of the season. Of course, there's going to be a ton more of it throughout the rest of the year, but this is your opportunity to say, I'm not going to make stupid excuses for myself for another year, and I'm not going to watch all the people that I think, have better genetics or supplements, or they have sponsors.
For sure.
Hey, people say it. So you have to, this is the place to me where that starts. This is where you set the tone for yourself. And if you guys can do this, if you guys can put enough meaning into this is not a fucking warm up. A lot of people use bitch work as their warm up. This is not a warm up. If you guys put as much meaning into this as you can, you will come out the other side improved in a way that I don't even think you guys can understand. So if you haven't made that leap yet in your training, this is your opportunity to do that. And when the open comes around, or regionals comes around, or the games comes around, whichever level is your personal goal, if you aren't the best version of yourself at bitch work, then you're just not going to reach your goal. I really, truly believe that from a mental and physical standpoint. So, we repeat a lot of shit, but part of repeating a lot of shit is consistency. It's a consistent message from us, and we're asking for consistency from you guys. If you want to be able to say Misfit either helped me or fucked me over this year, this right here, in my opinion, is the most important part.
I mean, it's a pretty good test to see if you actually want it or not. Can you do this day in and day out? And if you can't, and you're skipping and you're making excuses, you don't want it. It's that simple. I mean, nothing's going to hurt more if you do it correctly and suffer correctly, and nothing's going to be more boring if you treat it correctly and like mindless and being stuck. God, getting stuck like 30 minutes into a run and you know you have another whatever to go, like in your own head without music. Ooh, that'll test you. It'll see if you want it or not. I mean,
and the more you do it, you're just going to wake up one morning and you're not going to care anymore, and you're just going to go in and get it done. And then you won't carry that stress when you look at the blog and you see, Seth said 400 by 8. I actually think it's 400 by 10.
Oh, I didn't know. I was guessing.
How about that rowing
Probably
when it
is,
starts
though.
off the first
So I'm
day?
just really when you guys look at this stuff, this is the most bang for your buck, in my opinion, when you pull in that mental side.
And we're doing a lot of talking about the mental side of things, but also how to attack it. Again, I just talked about it in the conditioning stuff and the bitch work. There's descriptions there too if you're a subscriber. Like, we will tell you if we want you to pace this out, if we want you to sprint this, if we want you to start hot and then end slow, if we want you to start slow and then end super hot. Like, we'll give you instruction to best lead you through the entire cycle. So again, another thing, if you're committing to this and you're willing to do the work, you may want to consider really going all in with us and subscribing and getting more information on each piece. I know I sound like a salesman, but I mean, if you're going to do this fucking work,
that's why we created it.
I think the descriptions are even more essential on Bitchwork because we've created actually you guys have created such a KTB attitude and taken it so far that a lot of you are likely to try to PR your first 500 when you have 9 left.
Right.
It's like maybe not, and the description will tell you when you should do that and when you should maybe try to make it repeatable.
Totally.
So.
And a very simple, quick case study, side story. Going into the 2017 season, it was a known fact that both China Cho and Sam Quant were just not good at sprint workouts. It was a fact. They're not good at them. They say they're not good at them. Their scores say they're not good at them. And they were around us enough. They were around Travis enough. Gabe literally screamed at China the first time he met her to get the bike over a certain wattage. She was mad at the time. She thanks him for it now. Go check the worldwide leaderboard and see what those two did on event 6 at the regionals. Go check. Go take a look at how well those two did. Sam came in second, but he lost to George Sanchez, who couldn't be beat by anybody.
No.
And China lost famously by letting her torso fall over the finish line instead of her leg. So we didn't do that for them. We convinced them that you do not pace 20 cals on the bike. You don't pace this, you don't pace that. And eventually you go from 1 being livable to 2 to 3 to 4, and you get there. So follow those descriptions. There are going to be days where Seth's literally going to tell you guys to kill yourself and keep going, and that's how you know where your threshold is, and that's how you know next time what your new goal is.
I mean, this stuff has changed dramatically even in the last 3 years. I mean, these sprints back in the day, instead of 15 calories, might have been 8 calories for the guys. If you want to play, if you want to continue to be competitive in the sport or be relevant in the sport, you have to be willing to push that threshold because, if you asked these guys 3 weeks ago if we thought you could do 100 calories on the bike in like 2 minutes, fuck no way. That's impossible.
I would have literally said that's impossible.
Yeah,
like 2
literally
years ago.
impossible.
Yeah.
And now we've seen, a handful of people go under 3 minutes and we're like, holy shit.
And a Masters athlete was 2:01?
2:01.
Yeah.
When we started this, if you had sub 5, you were an animal on the bike.
Yeah.
But that's what happens in the sport. We keep pushing thresholds and thresholds. So that's what this stuff is for. You get on these things, you figure out what you can and can't do, and you maybe be surprised that, at the start of the cycle, for you to row a 145 500 3 times is really impossible, but towards the end, you do it for 10. So don't neglect this stuff. I just think that so many people look at this and they're like, yeah, but when's the last time rowing repeats were in the open? They weren't, but being fit is.
The need to be able to do that in the open in each workout.
Yes.
That capacity is in every workout. So, all right.
Cool.
Lastly, we got a gymnastic accessory and strength accessory, 2 each day. Gabe.
Yeah, so all 4 of the first 4 training days of the week, these are going to be optional. and it's just going in line with the rest of cycle 1. It's kind of back to the basics. You're going to have sets of specific movements. I see a lot of strict movements in there. I see some strict toes to bar, some strict ring dips, strict handstand push-ups. You're going to be given a number of sets and reps. You're going to be able to dictate the rest, and the idea is going to be quality movement.
Right.
Building capacity at quality movement, not under time. Again, you'll have the choice between gymnastics accessory or strength accessory. And it's really up to you to determine what you need to focus on. The strength accessory will be, similar stuff, working on overhead components where you're doing some holds overhead, some midline accessory work, some posterior chain accessory work, stuff like that. So it's really up to you to fill in the little holes here with and get better in cycle 1 that will carry over to the rest of the cycles. Pretty simple, nothing crazy. And then the 5th day, the day 5 of each week, you'll have the opportunity, or you'll be mandated to do both.
The opportunity.
I like that, actually. The opportunity. You're welcome.
So you'll get to do both the gymnastics and the strength on day 5. So.
I mean, the way that this is designed, and I know it's easy for us to kind of imagine it because we're looking at a beautiful spreadsheet that lays it out, but you have choices. Every year we set it up so that we give you a couple mandatory pieces, and then we give you choices. So you get to pick 1 or 2, or in rare cases 3 pieces from the blog to use that best suit you and what you need. Most days you're going to find that even though the Metcon's not mandatory and the 2 options of accessory are not mandatory, they'll be pick 2s for the most part. So most people, I would say, are best suited choosing the Metcon and choosing 1 of 2 accessories. That's really how you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Now, we realize there might be some Metcon warriors out there who really just need to get strong, and the gymnastics accessories could be probably better explained as gymnastic strength accessory for the most part. So better with the strict ring dips, better with strict handstand push-ups. Even holds get you stronger and more stable. So there may be times where you go with both, choose both accessory pieces. But for the most part, generally speaking, 90% of people out there that can follow the full volume of the blog appropriately should be doing a conditioning piece and an accessory piece of your choice. That's our recommendation for the most part. Obviously, that'll vary based on what comes out and what you need. That's the beauty of the blog. So,
a big thing I want to talk about in terms of picking the accessory work is, I can't even count how many times I've been asked, "Hey, do you guys have a template for this? Do you have a template for this?" And
yes.
It's all talking about thing like one specific gymnastics movement or one specific thing. And what I challenge you guys to do is to go back and look at whatever your goals are. If your goal is to make regionals and you had one workout in the open that really held you back, let's say it was the handstand push-ups at the, what was that? The 4th workout?
Yeah, 16-4.
Let's say it was the handstand push-ups and you couldn't meet the standard like after 25 handstand push-ups. Is that a pressing capacity or probably a positioning capacity, right? So you need to work on your range of motion. You need to work on a shoulder stability thing. You need to do nose and toes holds, things like that. Yep. Really dig into what it is that's holding you back. Don't just say, hey, I need just a specific toes to bar template. I need to do those 5 times a week, because these little things will add up, and then all of a sudden you're going to have greater capacity at toes to bar.
However, let me step in for 1 second. While I agree with what he's saying generally for the people who need a little of everything, and yes, you do enough strict gymnastics work, midline work, strength work, you're going to have the capacity to do this stuff. If you do have a huge glaring weakness, whether it be a lift, whether it be a specific movement, something that's really killing you, now would be the time of the year that we would also recommend that you tackle that, because you don't want to be figuring this shit out right before the open. So if you're a pro subscriber or higher, here I go again, we have over a dozen templates that you can plug in place of some of these accessories if you really need something. If your muscle ups are just not going to cut it, and hitting them once a week is not going to get you good enough or give you enough practice or enough reps to be competitive come the end of the year, now would be the time to add that muscle up volume template or the muscle up strength template, because you're just not able to get them consistently. If you're, I wouldn't say a strength thing. You probably shouldn't add too much strength to this because you'll be back squatting a lot. But in other cycles, there'd be times where you might want to add an extra squatting cycle or change the squatting cycle to something a little more intense because your squat is that far behind. Just another really good feature if you're a subscriber.
And this
I
is
feel like a salesman.
This is the easiest time of year, though,
helping.
where the accessories or the gymnastics or the stability programs fit in.
Absolutely.
This is honestly where they belong.
Yep.
And what we've done with the programming is provide you with a mix. If it's sort of just, going back again and saying the same words over and over, a connective tissue thing for everything. These accessories should be extremely controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful reps, no kipping, heaving, whatever. And if you're looking at them and you keep saying, man, like there is only one or two that is going to bother me, but I am, amazing with the Metcons, those templates slide in really well. They're super manageable. And with a template, you have it planned out through the week. And it makes it a lot easier for you to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And this is how I'm going to get better over the entire cycle, because that's what they're based on. So,
and one more thing I'll add too. I feel like a puppet today, but with the accessory stuff, some of them may be a little challenging and maybe something you need, but you see the rep scheme and you see like 10 sets of 5 strict handstand push-up. I can't get through that. There's no way. Well, we do have a scaling option on Hatchet. So everything you see over here, typically we'll have an option on Hatchet. At least one of the accessories most days will be there scaled back. So if you're looking like, what should I do instead of that? I do need to work on it, but that's way out of my league. If you're not comfortable scaling it yourself and you're a subscriber, you can look at Hatchet for some tricks or ideas, or even the Masters. I bet the Masters has ideas too that may be even different from that. So lots of options to get the work in and find the way to do the work that's most appropriate for wherever you're at. So
just remember, it is about how well you do them and not how many you do, because you're going to get a chance to do many more reps and test your capacity later on in the season. Just do them well, do them properly.
I agree with all of that. We have anything else? 6-week cycle instead of 5 from last year.
Is that right? Last year was 5?
Yes. Yep.
We also didn't have that assessment period, though. So
no, we did not, did we?
No. I'm actually a huge fan of it so far. I think it's cool that you guys give the opportunity to see all your holes. I mean, it's really hard to, I think for you, I don't know personally, to
I can't do any of it.
Well, do all those think about the amount of tests you want to test and be like, I really want to test this, I really want to test that.
I did spend a lot of time
opportunity this time
putting that together, really thinking about it. And I did some quirky things too, like Fight Gone Bad. I was like, is that too fluffy to put in there? But I was like, you know what? No, that sucks so bad. And the people that want to get the reps will show you if they're willing to work or not. It's something so simple. It's like, that's going to work. It's going to test something. So
to quickly turn this into a QA, I've gotten a bunch of questions from people. Retest week, are they going to have choices?
Ooh.
Are they going to have choices? Are they going to be able to say, like, my 5K is good, but my 2K sucks, vice versa, with certain things? Or is it going to be straight down through just your choices?
So the way it's going to work, I will pick what we're retesting after cycle 1 because it will reflect what we trained in cycle 1 more so than anything else. They'll see these come back up through other retest weeks, not test weeks, but other retest weeks in the cycle. So even though there'll be a test week before each cycle, the exact things retested will be a mix of test week and things from the assessment period before that pertain
Bigger
to
picture.
the cycle. Yes, correct.
There you go.
That's it. So, anything to leave them with?
Final
words?
Really, just taking advantage of. A lot of people want to know the messages that I get are just so vague. Like, what is Misfit? How can I do this? Do you guys have affiliate programming? What are the tiers? What should I do if I sign up for Complete? Will I beat Fraser next year?
No. Sorry, guys.
Maybe. Just so if there's anybody just completely new out there, you go to the website and you have Basic, which is free. Yes, the programming is still free. You get the blog. That's it. If you sign up for the Plus tier, you get those descriptions that we talked about. You get our movement library where we really try to break down movements as finely as possible. So you can watch it once quickly through and try to pick one thing up, or you can watch it 40 times. And
it's
eventually,
almost annoying how many things we give you to
there's
look
a lot
at.
of stuff in there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, stuff mixed in there if you guys go and check the pricing sheet in terms of, camp discounts and whatnot. But from a coaching standpoint, when you move up to pro, really the biggest features are Hatchet program and the templates. Mm-hmm. The templates have been a huge success. It's something you guys have asked for a while, and we held these things close to our chest for the longest time when, come to find out, you could have just created the templates for the first few. That just by going back to cycle 1.
Yeah.
And we've realized that we're helping you guys get better, and that's the end goal. So that's what you're going to get there. And then the complete tier, really the two things, a lot of people join the complete tier to work with Gabe in the Masters Facebook group and follow the Masters programming. And then a lot of people do it so that they can talk to one of us every cycle and really lay out their goals and understand what's going on further. So you get a cycle consult with that complete. And then really just the other thing, Cherub can talk a little bit about affiliate programming, but a lot of people don't even know that we have that, and it's something that we put a lot of time and effort into. So,
and the one thing I will say about the affiliate programming is a lot of people want to follow our programming at their blog or at their gym, and they find the blog is obviously too much volume. The weights are too much, the time commitment's too great. People can't fit the stuff in an hour.
And they shouldn't try.
They shouldn't try, because one thing we always preach at our camps and we meet people in person is like, hey, if you see our blog and you don't think you have an hour and a half, or you don't have the time to do it, don't do all those pieces.
More than that, yeah.
Take things out and focus on the things you need to work on. So what we do with our affiliate program is we take the things that we think are the meat and potatoes of any given cycle, whether that's the bitch work, whether that's the strength work, and we give you those in an hour-long block so they can fit in inside 1 hour period. And a lot of our affiliates are like, hey, now I can finally follow your stuff at my gym and not be so concerned that I can't fit it in or things aren't going to work. And what's really cool about our affiliate programming is if you need some kind of equipment variation, or if certain things work well at your box, or like, hey, I love your bitch work, but my members would hate it, I couldn't do it at my box, we can take those things out and make things adjust to whatever what fits best for you.
So what's the process if they want to sign up or talk to you or find out more?
I mean, the best process is to go to our website. It's just misfitathletics.com/affiliate-programming. And there you'll fill out.
There's got to be a link you can click, right? I can't type in all those words.
No, but yeah.
I haven't had to spell since 3rd grade.
At the top is a banner that says services, and one of them is affiliate programming. Click on that. Sends a form to me. We set up a conversation over phone just to talk about, hey, this is how we set up our affiliate programming, and we go from there. If you're interested in, at the end result, applying our programming at your box, we set it up. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just click on the link, fill out the form, have a conversation, and if you're ready to move forward, we get started.
Sounds good to me. Everyone good?
Good.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
for watching.
That's the Cycle 1 podcast. Until next time.
See you guys.
See you.
Good luck.